Hi everyone and welcome to Season 5, Episode 5 From Hope to Glory at Truro City with me, the United City FM. So we've reached another end of calendar year. 2024 is almost done. We've got one more game to play today. December has been pretty okay. It's been a bit mixed here and there, but big picture stuff is that we still sit in the top 3 of the division with a couple of games in hand. And considering that we were predicted to finish like 19th or 20th, we're doing really well still. Today though, decent chance to get another 3 points. Can we do it? Let's find out. So here we go with another new episode. If you're new to the channel, let me know in the comments below. Just introduce yourself, say hi in the comments below. If you're not new, then welcome back. It's always great to have you. Whichever one of those two things you are, if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do that. It will help the channel to grow. It will help me know that you're invested in the content, and it will also keep you up to date with the videos that I release if you click that notification bell. So do all of those things. Maybe think about leaving a like on this particular episode for me. That continues to help the channel grow also and shows me that you are liking the content that I put out. So those are the bits that I'd like you to do for me if possible. But for today, it's all about getting 3 points in League 2 in the English football system against Stockport. So a little bit of a mixed patch through December, a couple of losses, one in the league and one in the FA Cup. We got through to the first round of proper of the FA Cup, came up against Portsmouth and we lost 1-0. It was a really good game for us, really. I mean, it was a bit of a dull game to watch, but that was quite good for us, really. To be able to suppress the game that much and only lose 1-0 was pretty decent, I would suggest. But in the end, we did go out, and that's unfortunate, but we'll live to fight another day in the FA Cup. That's okay. League form, as I say, okay. Lost to Wrexham 2-1. Bit of a disappointing performance. We only got a 1-1 draw in the last game out against Harrogate. We'd rotated the side a little bit though, just coming out of a couple of cup competitions, so not too disappointed with that. Other than that though, there's some really good performances in here. We went through very comfortably in the FA Trophy, 7-2 against Billericay. We then came up against Scarborough in the next round of the FA Trophy. Only got a 2-2 draw in normal time. Went through to even in extra time, should I say, and then through to penalties. And in the end, we did go through on penalties, but it was a little bit edgy for a minute or two, and we could have done a bit better with that, but ultimately we went through, so that's okay. And it's pretty much the only cup competition we got left to focus on now, so that's okay as well, because there really were too many of them at the start of the season. The rest of the league form has been decent, a couple of 2-0 wins in there, which is good, and it's left us sitting in 3rd position in the SkyBet League 2, but we do have those 2 games in hand over a couple of the rivals around us, and primarily those above us. So if we could continue to gather some points, we can still potentially look to try and stay in this top 3, but the actual primary focus now of the season, finishing in this top 7 and not losing out on any of these playoff positions, having started so well, I think we're in a good position for. So that's what we're going to continue to try and attempt. Today we get Stockport, who are in 7th in that last position in the playoff positions as we speak. So they're going to be a bit of a tricky game, considering that we've had a bit of mixed form recently. But overall, as I say, we can't complain really about where it's all gone and how it's all going so far, because ultimately we were predicted to finish in 19th position, and that's gone up since the last time I saw it as well. Excuse me, I thought we were going to finish in 20th from the predictions, but 19th they currently have us, and we're currently in the top 3. Not too bad at all. I will take that. Today, let's see how we get on against Stockport, see if we can get another 3 points. So just at the moment, we do have some key injury problems, unfortunately. We've got a few people out. Whitmore is out through suspension just because he got sent off the other game. So that's unfortunate, but one of those things. And we've got Wright Phillips, who is going to be out for another week and a little bit maybe. He's been out for a little while, so Knowles has been playing instead of him. But it's these two players that cause us the big problem because they're the two Carrilleros from our squad, Silla and Bucock, both play in this role in midfield, and they're the rotating options as well. So we've had to rejig the midfield a little bit. We've put Williams in there in the slightly deeper role today, but these two are both going to be out for about the next month and a half, maybe, by the time they get back to full fitness and able to play again. So that is a bit of a problem. It's unfortunate. We're just about to go into January. If I could potentially find a short-term loan or something like that, maybe to fill that role for a month or two, maybe I'd consider it, but we'll have to see what we can do in January. But for now, we're just going to have to get by with what we've got. So Williams comes into that position, as I say. Other than that, the only real thing that's happened in the last few games is that whilst he's not playing particularly well, Dan Bowery has found his way into the starting lineup because, unfortunately, for whatever reason this season, Kazoo is just not doing it. Maybe this is just the point where he's reached his peak in terms of the level he can play at. His mentals are not particularly great, are they? Even though over the last couple of seasons, you can see that he's done okay for us in the 6.8 kind of area. This time round, 6.64 is his current average rating. And it's just dropped off enough to maybe think it's time for him to maybe move on at some point. Bowery's come in. Again, his mentals are not particularly strong, and that is the next thing that we need to figure out in our defence, is getting a couple of players that have got better mentals in, as well as the physical attributes that we currently have. He's come into the side recently. He's doing okay, but again, he's still not the finished article in terms of his mental stats either. So there is a little bit of an issue there on the right side of our central defensive pair, but there's nothing we can do about that until January, maybe, but our finances, if we go and have a look on the main screen, are not particularly great. So it really would have to be a free transfer from somewhere that we find just to plug the gap, maybe. We'll have to see what we can do, but it is a weak spot in our back line at the moment. It's just that one central defensive area. Other than that, most of the side are doing reasonably well this season, obviously, because we're in third. So something to look out for. Anyway, for today's match against Stockport, we've had to make a couple of those changes. So we have Roberts in goal, Rogers at right back, Devine at left back, Bowery and Stavrou in central defence, Williams and Walker in central midfield, Knowles on the right, D'Souza on the left, and Hull and McJanet up top, with a bench of Kazoo, Fink, Dunlan, Duke McKenna, Salam, Neal and Ball. So let's get into today's game and see what happens. So we've gone for where favourites here, go out and put a performance on that the fans can really appreciate. We're at home, of course, so that helps. Just to let you know, our home ground is being renovated a little bit. We've got about 1,000 extra seats and standing positions being put in. So we're in reduced capacity just at the moment. But coming up by the end of January, that work should be done and give us a bigger capacity to move forward with, which is good. It's always good to see that the club are moving forward and trying to improve these kinds of things. So that's happening. Also, just to let you know quickly, I have turned down job interviews recently against, and just as we're watching Stockport with an attack down the right hand side, they've gone more central. I'll tell you about those in a second. They're through to the top of the edge of the penalty box. They're working the ball very nicely, very patiently, and there's a good run by Dos Santos, and eventually the goalkeeper comes down and narrows the angle for a corner kick to Stockport on that far side. We'll see how they get on. The corner kick will be swung in, and it's a decent one. What happened there? A free kick has been awarded to us. So yes, I did get a couple of job interviews that I did turn down. I got 3 over the last season, which was for Huddersfield, Blackburn and Cardiff. So you can see that we're beginning to get recognised in the world of football, and that is a good way to get recognised on today's match performance as well. D'Souza with a header from a very good corner kick into that near post area in the 6-yard box, and it's Devine with another good assist. That's the word I was trying to find. He and Dunlan, who is the other left fullback that we have, switched the position quite nicely and all do the throw-ins, the free kicks, the corner kicks, and do them very well. And recently the two of them have been assisting quite a lot, which is fantastic. Again, a chance down the right-hand side this time to get another opportunity at goal, but we don't quite make it. Rogers loses out down that right-hand side, and again, there was a chance for them to move the ball through midfield, but we got a foot in, and D'Souza comes away with it down the left-hand side. And what was that? A shot or a cross or a bit of both? Either way, didn't really achieve anything, unfortunately. Goes harmlessly through for a goal kick. And in the end, we're still at 1-0 up in 34 minutes. And it's been okay so far. You can see that we're beginning to get into the game a little bit more, have a few more chances. And there was a decent cross in, but it didn't quite make the man, and Stockport come away with it. But Stavrou intercepts very nicely. And again, it's D'Souza down this left-hand side, seeing lots of the ball today. And he gets a block on the cross that he was putting in, but again wins the ball back. We get it back to Stavrou, who settles the play down again, working down this left-hand side, and it was cut inside to Williams, over the top to Hull, and what a good volley that was, over his shoulder, and caught it very nicely, but the goalkeeper was up to the task of parrying it round the post for a corner kick that we don't get to see in the end, so obviously nothing happened from it. And we come back for a throw-in down the left-hand side for Stockport, and they get another chance to build up an attack. You can see that they work primarily through that centre of midfield. They've switched it out wide to this right-hand side. And we let a goal in. And that's disappointing, really. I thought for the last half an hour of the game, in that sense, we'd done pretty well and we're kind of fairly dominant. And they've caught us a little bit there. Down the right-hand side, they managed to get a bit of space. We don't go and press them enough. And it was a decent cross in, but Howarth made them absolute most of it, didn't he? With his charging run at the defence, who were fairly static at the time. Gets his head on the ball and puts it in the back of the net. And we do go 1-1 at half-time. Little bit disappointed with that, to be honest. The possession stats were high. Pass completion was decent. For the first time in a little while, it's kind of tipping that 80% mark. So that's okay. We had 6 shots at goal, 4 on target, 5 and 4 for them. Both XG ratings of 0.47 shows that it wasn't a particularly high caliber chance game. But we both made one of those count. And so it's all even at half-time. So we can go in, I think, a little bit. Let's push them a little bit, because they're a home game. And I'm not overly happy with that one. So we're going to point the finger a little bit. I'm not happy with the performance. Get back out there. That's motivated most of them, which is good. So we get to go into the shouts afterwards and fire them up for the start of the second half. See if we can just get on that front foot a little bit. So we're going to move from balanced into positive as well. Just because it's a home game, we're on a reasonable place in the league. So we can afford to take a couple of chances here and there. And it feels like one of those today that this game is still here for the taking, really. Rogers on the underlap that time, really. Left-footed, the right fullback, eventually puts a slightly weak shot in. Doesn't really challenge the keeper, but some good movement. Williams with a free kick into the chaos of the 6-yard box, and eventually it goes through, I think, for a corner kick. It does indeed. So we put the pressure on. Devine again with a corner kick to the far post. This time slightly too long for everybody. Stockport get it clear and do get a chance for a counter-attack, really, off of that good clearance. They've had to slow the pace down a little bit, but we're back in our shape. We're hopefully going to be able to hold out, but they've got it through until Bowery has to boot the ball clear, and Knowles makes the most of it down the right-hand side, wins the challenge, gets away from his marker, goes on a good run, but then again the cross is blocked, and that's happened a couple of times in this particular match. It's one of the areas that maybe we've not done so well in. Bowery clears the danger again. And at 73 minutes, I think we're going to pause the game there and just see what we can do to impact this game through personnel changes, really. You can see that we've got some tired legs out there. And we do have an issue in the centre of midfield that Williams is now going to have to play in this position quite a lot. and he's not in the best of conditions totally, is he? But we don't really have a good replacement for him. The only one that we can bring on is Fink, who is also our right fullback cover, and I think we're going to do that because I think he can play the role. Mentals are not great, but his physicals are pretty decent. So we're going to take Williams out. We're going to put Fink in and then make sure he's playing the Carrilero role. So that's okay. We've got Knowles and D'Souza on the right and left with bad conditioning. Devine is also, because he's coming back from a long-term injury. So we're going to protect him a little bit. And then because we've changed one on the left, we're going to change the other one on the right. So we're going to take Knowles out and we're going to put McKenna in. Duke McKenna, he can play down that right-hand side for the final 15 or 20 minutes or so. We've got another chance from Devine down that far side. What happened there? Looks like we've got a penalty. This is good fortune for us, and Hull makes the most of it. There is one of our 4 goal scorers, our 4 strikers on the score sheet again. They have had a little bit of a slow patch in the last few weeks of the season. Couple of games where they didn't get on the score sheet, one of the 4 of them. So they've got to up the game slightly just at the moment, but with 10 minutes to go, that helps us out tremendously, doesn't it? Goal kick for Stockport. They go very long. Can the defence win it? First opportunity was no, but we did pick up the ball from Stavrou, but put it into a bad place in midfield. Again, we've won the ball. Hull makes the most of it on this occasion. Has to go alone. And wow, did he go alone. That's so reminiscent of who have we seen do that kind of shot. Someone like Cantona years ago on the edge of the box, chipping it over the top of the goalkeeper. Fernandez, I think, for Man United did it recently, but he had to slow his run down and then just a cheeky dink over the top of the goalkeeper, who was completely stranded. And that is a fantastic goal to put us 3-1 up with now 5 minutes or so left of the game. Again, it's a Stockport County goal kick. Again, we clear it from defence. Again, Hull makes the most of it. Passes it very nicely on to D'Souza into the box, but then fires his shot directly at the goalkeeper. And we didn't quite make that one pay, but a good move again. And we have really stretched the lead in that last sort of half an hour of the game. It was a very good game overall. I think there were some good chances in there. First half specifically, we were a little bit loose with some of our passes and some of our finishes. But look how that XG rating has skyrocketed for us. We were both on 0.47 at the end of the first half, and Stockport remained on 0.52. So defensively, we did quite well to suppress them, and they didn't really have much of an attempt in that second half, which is good. But we skyrocketed to 2.42 XG rating, 19 shots at goal overall, 9 on target. A really good team performance in the end, if not totally perfect. So what else can we learn about this particular match? Well, the first thing to say is 50-50 possession. I think we did pretty well on 50% possession. But also our pass completion rate was up in this game, 81%. So we've worked a little bit with that over the last few weeks with that central midfield. And with Walker and Williams in there, they are slightly better ball players, I would suggest, than the likes of Sillett and Bucock. So maybe that's helped us out a bit today. But yeah, fairly decent. Everything else we've already gone through there. So we'll dive a little deeper. Here's our 19 shots at goal compared to their 6 or whatever it was. So we absolutely battered them in that second half. But we did have a lot of loose shots from the edge of the box. We may be needing to work it more into the box before we take some of those shots. So we'll talk about that in our... I'll talk to the team about that as we move forward and maybe change the instructions slightly. But overall, pretty decent in terms of the chances created. 1 or 2 long shots were probably too long, and 1 or 2 inside the box, maybe not quite the quality, but also there was a couple of crosses that were blocked as well. So maybe that's an area where we needed to improve a bit today. You can see on the average positions here, this is where Stockport sat right the way back. We'd pushed them right the way back, considering that their number 22 was their furthest forward. If you could see our heat map and average positions, where their 22 is, or where where should I say, where their 24 is just behind him, is where our back line were. So we were pushed right up on them, and that really showed. The pressure in the second half was eventually too much for them. They controlled the midfield quite well in bits and pieces, but weren't quite able to do much with it. Hull with the absolute superstar with that fantastic third goal, that little dink over the top of the goalkeeper, 8.3 average rating, so he did phenomenally well for us. So let's go and deep dive into those shots a little bit. We'll focus on our own 3 shots, 1 from outside the area just on that little dink, couple from closer in, which was good. We had 6 that were off target, but they were all in and around that top area of the penalty box. So if we'd have taken some of those away and looked for maybe one more pass into the box, maybe that's one way that we need to think about trying to get a little bit more accuracy, because the shots at goal from inside the box brought out saves from the goalkeeper. So he did pretty well to keep all of those out. And there were also 4 blocked shots from the edge of the box, again, primarily from the defenders. So I think overall our shooting performance was pretty decent, but there are things that we can always still improve on, because there are always going to be, aren't there, really? So let's go and have a look at the passing, just because it makes me giggle. I love that particular page. What on earth are you supposed to learn from that other than your team passed the ball quite a bit? Oh dear. Anyway, intercepted passes. We forget these ones because they're clearances. These ones here, why were we going backwards a little bit is the question. But if we were, make it a little bit more accurate, please. And there's a couple of blocked ones as well. A couple of these on the sides here, blocking crosses, I think. So I think that's, unfortunate really. But there we go. Unsuccessful passes. Again, we forget the throw-ins, we forget the goalkeeper clearances, just because they're doing their job really at that point, just to clear the ball. It's this kind of group here really that maybe putting it through on goal from that distance, maybe we need to work it up slightly. Maybe we just need to shorten the style of passing a little bit and just see if we can get a little bit more accuracy, especially now whilst we're playing both Walker and Williams in that central midfield area for the next few weeks. Maybe that can get us on a new course of style of play, possibly. We'll have to see what we can do with that one. Couple of out of play passes, one long from Dunlan trying to put somebody through on this left-hand side. And where was Aaron Hull going with that one? I don't have a clue. The key passes, though, there were 4 of them today. One looks like Divine. I don't know what he was doing there. A long throw, is that maybe from there? One from Williams at the central midfield point, and then one in from Knowles. And we got it into the box for those. Maybe we could have done a little bit better with some of those, but there we go. And only one, in theory, only one chance created. So we did pretty well, considering that we got 3 goals, didn't we, really? If that's what they're suggesting were the only chances that we created. Anyway, let's go and have a look at crosses. That's what I want to have a look at today. So we didn't get any assists from crosses today. We completed 3. A couple of long ones. This one from Divine was obviously important, getting it into this point. We've seen that spot a couple of times now in terms of chances created as well. Intercepted crosses. This is the interesting thing, is how are these crosses if this is the direction of the ball? Anyway, I don't know what that means, but basically they didn't get the crosses in, and that's all that matters. And then we got blocked crosses, and this is what we saw a couple of times in the game, and this is what I wanted to have a look at. We did lose out quite a few times on getting the ball into the box through just a slight little bit of lack of quality on our crossing, and then we had unsuccessful ones as well. So we did absolutely batter them with crosses, working down those wide areas with the overlapping fullbacks that we got, especially Divine down the left-hand side. Works wonders, but today just a little bit of a lack of quality there, unfortunately. So that's how we kind of won it. We did well in the chances that we did create. We got a couple of really nice goals. We could have done a little bit better, though, on the quality of some of those crosses, and maybe even extended that goal scoreline even further. McJanet is a little bit off form just at the moment. He's going to do well to keep his place because the likes of Charlie Ball have been scoring quite a bit recently. So watch out for whether he's there next episode, because he might just lose his place if he's not very careful. Other than that, I'm pretty happy with that performance. We got a very good win against a decent opponent in the top 5 or 6, 7 of the division. So ultimately, very happy. So before we check out exactly what we're doing next episode, it's worth having a look at the table. We've moved up a place into second place, still with those 2 games in hand over our direct rivals around us. And the reason we've bumped up a position is that Bolton finally lost after several games going on a decent winning streak. They lost 2-0 to Chesterfield, who are sitting in 5th place. So another top of the table clash there for today. And that has enabled us to jump over Bolton, which is fantastic, and Grimsby as well, which is really good. In they're in 1 point behind us, and we've got those 2 games in hand. So, I mean, the only team ahead of us are Southend. I think it might be slightly challenging to catch them, maybe. We've got the games in hand to do it, potentially, but it doesn't mean that we're going to win every game that we play for the rest of the season. But I'm more interested over the fact that we've got these 2 games in hand over the teams below us, to be honest. I think that's a really key advantage to have at this point in the season. And if we could just keep the pressure up on them over the next few weeks, leading in through the January transfer window period as well, come out of January in this kind of position, I think we've been pretty good, and I think we're pretty certain that maybe at that point we can start talking about a playoff position. So still plenty of work to do, having only played 25 games out of what have we got to play, like 46 or something. So it's still a long way to go, but so happy with how it's all going so far. So let's just go in and check out with the schedule what we've got coming up in the January part of the season. The recent game against Stockport there. So we've got a bucket load of games in League 2. We're finally able to focus a little bit more on League 2, having gone out of most of the cup competitions. We get Spennymoor in the FA Trophy, but that's not until early February. So we are going to come back for that Bolton game, a big game with a direct rival in the top 3 as we currently see it. Hopefully by the time we've gone through these, what are there, about 8 games in January to play through, the likes of Cheltenham, Fleetwood, Carlisle, MK Dons, Accrington, Chesterfield, Newport and Tranmere. Once we go through all of them, hopefully we're still in and around that sort of top 3 area, and it's going to be a big game against Bolton. So that's the plan to come back for next episode. Away from home is going to be tricky, but got to do it. Home and away both every season, haven't we? So we might as well have a good go. Till then, we've got lots to go through. Hopefully we can perform well and get more points. You'll come back next episode, I hope, and I'll fill you in on everything that's gone on. Until then, though, thank you for joining me today. I really do appreciate it. It's a lot of fun, this series. I'm having a great time at Truro, happily rejecting other contract negotiations from other bigger sides, because I really want us to take this all the way to the top if we can. That's the intention of the series, so we'll see how we get on. Anyway, that's going to do it for today, so subscribe to the channel if you haven't already and join my United City community. The more the merrier. Click that like button on this particular episode if you can. Helps me get seen by lots more people. Until next time though, take care of yourselves. I'll see you very soon. Bye for now.